Girlfriend's workplace is firing her for drinking too much water. FL. My girlfriend, type 1 diabetic, and has a heart condition called dysautonomia, where her doctor requires her to drink above 120 ounces of water a day. Sometimes she can get dizzy and fall over, however only for a couple seconds. My girlfriend isn't a quitter. She is very outgoing and won't use her conditions in the wrong way. She's also only 16 and she got a phone call from her manager explaining that she will most likely be let go. She told her that she should be able to go 4 hours without water and said she isn't entitled to water while working. Edit. She's job hunting now and quitting soon. Thanks for all the comments and people reaching out. The place is a small 7-person business, so there's no one above the owner. Charged with family assault after I called the police. Long story short, I was attempting to leave. This girl got upset, poured bleach on most of clothes and work uniforms and all over me, attacked me pushing and punching me, clawed at my face, and broke my glasses, grabbed a knife, and threatened me while refusing to let me out the door. When I finally got out the door, she dragged me back in. One of my arms had a longer strap from my bag tightly wrapped around it, since she kept trying to take the few things I could get and throw them back inside or cut them. 2 bags were already cut and ripped up. Well, she reached her free arm through the other straps and grabbed me and wouldn't let go, then dragged me down multiple times whenever I could get up while trying to free myself from her grasp and get back to the door until I almost fell on the knife, so I called 911. They get there and immediately cuff me as soon as they to the door. I never struck or pushed or hit her. I was the one bleeding, covered in bleach, and barely able to see. More background. She lied once before, making this the 2nd time I've been charged for this, but it was dismissed after something came up proving she lied and was using that as a way to get into my place with her boyfriend or whoever and kids. Police were called on her 2 other times prior to this time for running me over, and another after cut me with a knife, then went at my car. I'm 6 feet about 270 pounds. She's like 5 feet 5, 220 pounds. But I had recently went to the hospital because of excruciating pain in my shoulders and elbow, along with a near complete loss or strength and mobility in certain positions. Also, I informed her, because of her disrespect by having other PPL around and continuously leaving me locked out to be with her BF or husband or kid's father there, I would be getting my clothes and stuff I considered important, and she could keep that place. The police did not care about previous issues, the fact that she's been charged with cutting someone before, or that she was fine and I was damaged and bleached. They just kept saying, so at one point you were on top of her, ignoring the fact she was not letting go of me. And in part of a video I recorded, I asked her to please just let me go and leave, and she responded by yelling, WTF, what could I have done that wouldn't have ended like this? Why did police respond the way they did? What can I do to beat this? And can I have the county change what they say in the public records about it, stating we are in a long-term relationship. She has a husband, boyfriend, and baby daddies. We don't do anything like sexual or couple stuff. Just me helping her because I felt bad for the kids. She told them I do drugs and have mental issues, which isn't true either and easily proved. But I've already lost 2 jobs behind this, and finding a new one in place to move to is nearly impossible with the charge showing and them going strictly off her word. My wife has 3 hits on a criminal background check that are not her. We are looking to rent a new place and did a background check as part of the screening. Much to our surprise, there were 3 hits for offenses which absolutely were not her. They were offenses committed in Cleveland, Ohio in 2022. We live in California. She has not been to Cleveland in many years and has never been charged with anything. The offenses are for no seatbelt, doctor, expired plates, no DL. They all say Cle. A other, not sure what that means. They have her full name and middle initial and her correct birth date. There is a Cleveland address listed, which obviously is not where we live. She grew up in Cleveland, which makes me suspicious that someone who knows her could have given out a name. Especially since one of the offenses is no driver's license. But maybe it's a coincidence. Could someone get away with that simply by knowing her details? My big question is, what should we do? Is she in legal trouble for these crimes that were committed by someone else in another state? She was definitely in California at the time. There must be some way to prove that. What is the best way to approach this? Sister was held against her will in a hotel room with her ex-boyfriend under threat of death for her and her baby daughter. Hotel wants her to pay for damages sustained during his arrest before they'll release her belongings. They also confiscated our mother's wallet and phone to use as leverage. California. My sister's ex-boyfriend was a fugitive from justice with a warrant for his arrest. He kept my sister and their daughter in his grasp by threatening to kill her and the baby if she left him. He beat her regularly while they were in the hotel room. She eventually sent me cryptic messages asking for help, and I was able to get her out of there safely while he was sleeping off one of his drug-induced stupors. Given the situation, she only grabbed my niece and a few things in her rush to get out of there without waking him. Police were alerted and they arrested him, but he attempted to break the window and escaped during the arrest. When we returned to the hotel to pick up my sister and niece's belongings, my elderly mother, 70s, insisted on coming for support. My mother also needed to use the bathroom once we arrived to the hotel. Because of the COVID precautions, they only wanted to allow my sister in and begrudgingly allowed my mother in because she needed to use the bathroom. I remained in the car. My sister came back crying and said that they won't allow her to collect any of her stuff unless they are paid $700 out of pocket for the damage to the window sustained when he was attempting to flee from the police. This includes my sister and niece's clothing, ID and other personal documentation, birth certificate, medications, etc. And then even worse, my mother forgot her wallet and cell phone in the bathroom, and the staff quickly confiscated those as well, to use as leverage, to force somebody to pay for the window damage. Am I wrong to ID people at my gas station job? I work at a gas station that sells alcohol and tobacco. I work graveyard, so I'm usually the only one in the store. I've had multiple customers get verbally upset with me for denying them purchase of alcohol cigarettes because they either didn't have their ID was invalid, they were underage, or their ID was expired. Multiple times I have denied service to groups of customers because one or multiple of them fit the denial criteria above. What is the legality of me selling to groups of people when one fits the can't sell criteria? Can I be fired terminated for selling when said criteria is met, especially in groups? Edit. I'll be talking with my manager when she gets in to confirm on our rules. My main concern is with people in their 50s getting upset when I tell them no because of my ID criteria and the ad criteria with groups of people over 21. Update. I have talked with my manager. It is to her understanding that if any person in a group does not have ID, I cannot sell. She's gonna double check with upper management just in case. Update 2. Policy is I must ID up until the visual age of 45. Then it is up to me. This also applies to groups of customers. If one person doesn't have ID, or it isn't legal, I cannot sell to the whole group. I'm also not allowed to sell to expired IDs as well. Contractor died after we paid $16,000 deposit, and before roofing projects started. My fiance and I recently bought a house that needs the roof replaced, and we hired a contractor who required a 60% deposit upon signing the contract, $16,000. Sadly he passed away on the day he was supposed to start, and we don't really know what to do to get our money back. The only advice we've received is to make a claim against his estate, but we don't know how to go about that either. Should we talk to a lawyer? Any insight on what to do next? My F25 conspiracy theorist mother plans on moving with my sister, F17, out of the country. We currently live in Ohio. Backstory. For the last few years, my mom has been spiraling deeper and deeper down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole. At this point, it's everything from 911, to chemtrails, to Illuminati, to the moon landing being fake. My mom believes that within the next 2 years, the government is going to eliminate 23 of the US population by forcing us into concentration camps. They will start by starving us, by controlling the weather, and killing off our plants animals, and then revoking all passports. After we're trapped, they will start rounding us up. Long story short, she is making plans to pull my sisters out of college or high school, abandon our house, and move to somewhere in Central or South America before they revoke passports. She also wants to do this as soon as possible because they will crash the value of the dollar soon, so we need to buy property before then. My youngest sister Maggie is 17, and she does not want to go. The problem is that she doesn't turn 18 until August of 2020, which is after mom plans to leave. My main question is, can my mom legally force her onto a plane? My follow-up question is, can Maggie get emancipated? From what I can find online, I don't think Ohio allows minors to emancipate themselves. I'm more than willing to take her in, but I'm assuming my mom could just call the police to bring her home. Any advice is welcome. GF being sued by Metro bus passenger after the bus ran an off light and hit my GF. If this is the wrong sub, please let me know where I should post this instead. A Metro bus in Los Angeles, California did not stop at a light that was powered off last year in the end of June. It was my GF's turn to go through the intersection and the bus hit the back of her car, totaling it. It was a super stressful experience for her because her insurance was taking forever to get anything sorted out for her, and we just don't have that much money. Eventually her gap insurance kicked in and her old car got paid off, but not before she took a few hits to her credit for not making a payment or two for the totaled car. It wasn't until this April that we could afford the down deposit on a new car. So fast forward a bit and now she's been getting letters claiming some woman is suing her. We are assuming it's a passenger on the bus, My GF is super stressed out again and on the verge of breaking down in tears whenever she gets one of these reminder letters. I hate seeing her like this and have tried to help her look for a lawyer, but she is adamant that she can't afford to retain a lawyer. What can we do? Thank you for taking the time to read all of this. Edit. Her own insurance is sending her this letter. The letter states she should contact a lawyer. Edit 2. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for all the replies. Unfortunately, I'm a high school teacher and it's back to school night, so I won't be able to provide any more details until later tonight. Hopefully I can do that when I make it home. I run a small artisanal fruit farm in France. American TikTok influencers destroyed approximately 15% of my crop. Can I prosecute people in a different country? As per title, I operate a small fruit farm in France that specializes in rare and luxury oranges and other citrus fruits. These are produced in very small numbers and are sold for very high prices to private buyers, restaurants, and upmarket hotels. About 2 to 3 months ago, about 15% of my crop had been sliced, squashed, crushed and left to rot on the ground. I liaised with local police at the time, but no one knew what had happened. The police suspected local vandals or perhaps migrants traveling north searching for some food. We have had several groups of people head towards Calais over the past few years. If the latter was the case, I wouldn't have begrudged them taking some fruit. Refugees deserve to eat. This morning I was linked to a video on TikTok showing an American woman on my farm picking a citrus fruit off the tree, cutting it open, and crushing it in her hand, so the juices flowed out. Upon investigation, there are approximately 4 accounts posting similar content from my farm. It appears that they had been repeatedly squeezing my fruits trying to get a perfect shot, as a girl can be seen in the background of one of the videos squeezing a fruit before lowering her camera and picking another from the tree. Without getting into specific numbers, I have suffered thousands of euros in lost product and thousands more from breaching contracts with hotels re the supply of fruit. Can I, as a European, prosecute American citizens for damages? I have their identities from their TikTok accounts. Landlord is asking me to vacate for 5 days so their family can stay. I got a message from my landlord today asking if I can vacate my basement apartment so some of their family can use the space for the few days they're here. They said I can use a closet in the meantime to put some of my stuff in, and they won't charge me rent for those days. I've only been renting for a few months and this is a new city to me, so I genuinely don't have anyone to stay with, and I'd rather not pay for a hotel. There's a chance my job will have me out of town for those days, but I'm not sure yet. What are my legal standings on this? Our contract we have has nothing relating to this issue. The notice they gave me is about a month and 3 days from today, in case that's relevant. Thank you all for the help. Smile. Stopping a squatter before it go too far. After a few family member death, we are selling a family member house. There was a showing there and someone was in the house when the realtor shows up today. He was trying to say he was family member. He isn't. I'm worried he trying to squat at the house. What can we do now to keep it from being an issue? The house is in northern Illinois. Husband told me to leave after 20 years. I've been married for 18 years, 19 in November, and 16 years ago, we decided I'd stay home with the kids to make my husband's work life easier. It was hard for him to get time off for doctor's appointment, school functions, sick days, summer, etc. I have done all of this plus take care of the house, but I did sacrifice having any sort of job or career. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and had a hip injury, which turned out to be degenerative bone disorder. Cleaning and cooking has gotten harder and harder for me, so the house and cooking have just not happened. I have begged for help from him, but he is too busy, so I try to do as much as I possibly can. Possibly this was my downfall. Over the years he has entered into several online-only relationships. I have caught him. He has apologized and said he'd never do it again. We move on. Most recently there was one 2 years ago with a mom on a baseball team he coached, and our kid was on. This weekend, he told me he's not happy anymore and wants me to leave. Claims there is not another woman. I have no family, no job, no money and 3 kids. I live in Texas, which is not an alimony state. Are there any resources or anything I can to do? I have not left the house. It's the only thing I could afford. If I could get a job, since the housing market has gone out of control high. I have applied for hundreds of jobs. It's a tough market in a large city, and being out of the workforce so long,